Well, guys, I'm sure you will remember saving the NHS so it didn't buckle under the pressure of doing its job in 2020. Oh, and I'm sure you remember dancing nurses and the many thousands of demented seals that stood outside their house at 8 p.m. every Thursday, joining in the government's NHS National Virtue Signal. Yep, this has got to be said, was likely thought up by some commie nudge unit to keep them all sucking the COVID tea, which of course they obviously did. And yes, we all know the lockdowns and government dictated lunacy have caused endless devastation to lives and livelihoods, while much of the health service sat there literally doing nothing. Well, actually no, tell a lie, they was dancing around like a bunch of prats, as I said. But the same is also true for the current so-called cost of living crisis that, as you likely know by now, has been caused by 2 years of lockdown and money printing to the power of 10. Yes, we had the furlough scheme, 100 billion or more spent on free testing and tracing nonsense, face mask contracts and all of that, which was always going to cause this government-inflicted poverty crisis that we're in right now, and to be honest I think is only gonna get worse. Now, yes, some will say Russia man bad caused this, but I ain't really buying that, and you shouldn't too. I heard talk and reports from all over saying that this was coming before the start of this year, so Ukraine is just a convenient excuse for it, it would seem. It's a bit like Wikipedia changing the article on recession recently because the Biden admin needed some damage control, you know, for how badly they've trashed the economy over there. But, I mean, shit, they framed destructive race riots as mostly peaceful protests despite like 20 odd people being killed last I heard. That shit there is literally 1984 doublethink in every sense of the word, but that is common these days. Politicians read 1984 as an instruction manual and not a warning, it would seem. Now, something almost as bad as politicians these days is the golden cash cow called the NHS that I mentioned earlier. This mediocre bottomless pit of money is back in the headlines again because senior management has decided that giving staff a pay rise is more important than saving the people who pay their fucking wages. This, I've got to say, really pisses me off because I've got a family member who right now sits on his deathbed thanks to the NHS missing the cancer growing inside him. They said he'll be dead within 28 days, and yet now they want to take more money from cancer screening to pay doctors and nurses a little bit more. This should be criminal and really pisses me off, given hospital waiting lists for all treatments at this point. I mean, shit, I'm still waiting for brain scans 4 months and 2 weeks after the NHS told me I needed them done within 2 weeks. Of course, at this point though, the government and NHS have already cost many people their lives over the past 2 years, so we really shouldn't be surprised by this, but it does just show how corrupt and worthless the NHS really is, don't it?
You're about as useful as a cock-flavored lollipop.
Now, I would say it needs reform and all that, but to be honest, yous lot know that and have done for a while. In fact, it needs to be razed to the ground and redone completely. All the woke bollocks needs to be removed alongside pointless management positions and the diversity dickheads on 80 grand a year. Doing that could mean it stands half a chance of being somewhat useful, since it can never be great or world beating like they claim because of immigration into this country. I mean, you can't keep flooding the country with more people and expect public services to cope with all that, but yous lot know this, don't ya? But either way, fuck the NHS and its tosspot management for doing this. Whoever thought it up should be sacked immediately in my mind, since they don't have the patient's best interest at heart. Or maybe we should say most of the people in top management shouldn't, because none of them give a shit. Of course, they won't do that, will they? Instead, they'll likely give themselves a nice little pay rise to piss in our pockets and tell us it's raining some more.